Belated daily briefing for Tuesday, the 11th of April. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Apple has released updates for macOS 0-day bugs. It's spyware and it is already being exploited. So Apple rolled out the patches on Good Friday, iOS, iPadOS, and macOS operating systems, and the Safari web browser to address these vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities found by Google and Amnesty International, and they are being exploited in the wild. So if you are using any of those products, check for updates. Hopefully you've got automatic updates in place for these things, so hopefully they're okay. Otherwise, give them a nudge. Microsoft has spotted that Iranian government hackers are involved in Azure wiper attacks. So an Iranian APT called Muddy Water, working with Dev 1084, have been observed launching destructive cyber attacks against various organizations. The wiper masquerades as ransomware, but no ransom is well, at least if the ransom is demanded, there's no point in paying it, because in the background it is basically just used to destroy systems. So be aware that this stuff is going on. Have a look at the article from Security Week. It gives some good indicators about what's going on there. But if you are working in an organization which may possibly not be favored by the Iranian authorities, be aware that this is going on. So the HR giant SD Works, WORX, interesting, has shut down its IT infrastructure for the UK and Ireland services after a cyber attack. SD Works is a large HR and payroll management system. Company employs 7,000 HR professionals. And it serves over 5.2 million employees every month. So the company claims to have a client base of around 82,000 organizations. They are notifying customers of the breach. If you are using if you do use SD Works for HR or payroll, worth having a look to see whether you've been impacted or not. Unclear how much data has leaked as part of this. Being an HR system and a payroll system, that is not going to be a good thing. So yeah, if data has leaked, it's liable to be comprehensive PII. Not good. Ask for identity protection if you find your data has been caught up in this sort of thing. Oops. So the Rilide, 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 I think, malware is using malicious browser extensions to bypass 2FA and steal cryptocurrencies. It is basically impersonating a benign Google Drive extension and remains undetected while abusing built-in Chrome features. So effectively, there's a good explanation around how it hijacks Chromium-based browsers. Certainly good enough to understand what's going on. So it disables things like the browser's content security policy, which is designed to guard against cross-site scripting. It then uses fake, bogus dialogues to lure victims into entering temporary 2FA codes. Once you've put that in, of course, they've got it, so they can then log on to the real site behind you. So I would say the best thing to do for protecting yourself against this stuff is to use good antivirus software, good endpoint protection software, and be cautious about which plugins and extensions you apply to your browser. And that goes for any browser, not just Chrome. So, interesting one here. Thieves can use the CAN, the CAN bus on cars in order to steal them. So modern cars have many ECUs. I drive an old car. It has one ECU. Okay, so it doesn't particularly, the CAN bus is not connected to all sorts of other things. But if you've got a car whose windscreen wipers come on when the rain starts, or whose lights come on because it's dark, or the main beam dips automatically because it's seen another car coming in the other direction, those cars have got a comprehensive CAN bus that runs throughout the car, connecting together all of the various ECU electronic control units responsible for various aspects of the car, including the vehicle's smart key. So there have been, it has now been shown that cars can be very easily stolen by connecting to the CAN network and basically forging messages on that network. And the very simplest way to do it is that on a modern car, your headlights are connected to the CAN bus. So if you find that you get up in the morning and your car's headlights have been messed with, especially if the wiring has been tampered with, that's somebody trying to steal your car. And it's very successful. Apparently, there is little or no authentication to these messages once they're on the CAN bus. So it comes back to that absolutely ancient approach to cybersecurity of, well, if your attacker can touch it, they already own it. Seems that car manufacturers have forgotten this. This is why, for example, financial institutions I worked in the past would put all their stuff into data centers inside cages that had restricted access, and the cages would have to go from floor to ceiling through the raised floors, and you'd have to have armored cabling that will go into and out of the cage, and so on and so forth. If you can touch it, you own it. Well, it's certainly true of modern cars. There is pretty much nothing you can do about this. The devices you need are at the moment specific to various models of cars, but those cars include Toyota, BMW, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Ford, Honda, Jeep, Jaguar, Maserati, Nissan, Peugeot, Renault, Volkswagen, and pretty much anybody else that you can think of. You can buy the devices for, they cost a few £1,000s, but when you're talking about stealing a car that's worth tens of thousands, then that's not a particularly big investment. Effectively, the way it works is that the device plugs into the CAN bus, injects a message telling the smart key ECU that the car has been the key has authorized it to disable the immobilizer. You then send other messages saying start the engine, unlock the doors, so on and so forth, and you drive off with the car. Also, on the subject of cars, Tesla owners are seeking class action for a lawsuit accusing the car manufacturer of allowing its workers to see and distribute images from the car's built-in cameras. Apparently, this has also included embarrassing imagery captured by their electric vehicles, and is used as a kind of tasteless entertainment, as Security Week puts it, within the organisation. I mean, that's a very interesting point, isn't it? You've got a car there which is taking, effectively is surrounded by cameras that are used in order to, give the car itself all the information it needs in order to do its really clever functions. However, it's also recording um, when you're in your garage or when you park your car on the driveway or whatever else, and presumably will be recording what you're doing in your car at the same time. And I bet you didn't realize that Tesla employees can see this stuff. Um, I would have naively assumed that they wouldn't have been so stupid um, as to allow that data to be visible centrally anywhere. So if you've got a Tesla, hope you're not doing anything embarrassing or illegal in or around it. And finally, from me, AI can crack your passwords in seconds. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. So can a lot of less powerful computers. Um, sounds like this is one of those horrendous things about AI is going to take over the world and whatever. Um, however, good cyber hygiene for good password hygiene still defeats AI, at least for long enough that it would be okay. So the article from Security News says 51% of all popular passwords were broken in under a minute, and 65% in under an hour, 71% in under a day, and 81% in under a month. Okay, but what we're talking about here is passwords that are already well known and at least and less than 12 characters in length. So if you are going to stick to passwords 18 characters or more, include letters, numbers, capitals, lowercase, and I would also throw in there special symbols. Yeah, AI is not yet able to crack that in anything like a useful period of time. Also, stick to some other good hygiene processes. Use 2FA or MFA, and where possible, try not to use SMS for 2FA because it is interceptable, but it is better than not using MFA. Avoid reusing passwords across accounts is probably the most important thing that you can do. Use password generators. Use password manager if you've got, like me, hundreds of passwords. Change passwords on important accounts frequently. Mitigated to some extent if you have 2FA or MFA in there. And then if you are using public Wi-Fi, especially for banking and other things, bear in mind that the provider of that Wi-Fi network is effectively sitting as a man in the middle and can see the contents of your browsing. Use a VPN. So there we go. I've overrun massively, but then I did start late, so hope you don't mind. I hope you all had a great Easter weekend and you're raring to go for the new week. I will speak to you all tomorrow.